Hey guys, what's up? So, wait, where's this going? Hey, what's up? A little like cappuccino. I don't know how I haven't done this video, but I thought it would be great to do a transition video because I've had a couple people ask me, when did you start transition? What's it been? What are your experiences? This, that. So I'm gonna give it a little insight, and if you have any questions or comments, drop them below. I would love to hear them and maybe answer them. It's so crazy to even try and wrap my head around my transition because I think it's something I'll be doing for my entire life. So where do we start at? Do we start at childhood, like the cross-dressing in my sister's clothing, or like do we start whenever drag happened? We'll jump in the beginning and it'll probably go back and forth. Best question that I get is, when did you know that you were trans? And honestly, I have no idea. I got the same question when I was a gay man. When did you know that you were gay? There's always been that attraction, and there's always been this attraction to femininity and articles of femininity. I had a friend put it that way one time. Articles of femininity are like the nails, the hair, the wanting to do all those things that women do to accessorize themselves and accentuate themselves. You know, I just think that's such a beautiful art all in itself. And I have always wanted to do that since I was a kid. I think it was it was a great aunt somewhere gave me these little pumps, and they were like church heels and they were bright orange. There's no way she could have worn them every week, so that's probably why she gave them to me. And I wore them every day. They were in my toy chest, like wore them all the time. I don't know, no idea where they went to. My mom didn't care that I played with Barbies. She didn't really care that I danced around to Britney Spears and like TLC. She didn't care. She loved it. It was the rest of like my dad's side of the family who was like, nah. After I turned like, I would say 8 or 9, that stuff wasn't cute anymore. Watching me dance around and like recording it and, you know, embracing it, it wasn't cute anymore. It was now like, no, you don't wear your bracelets on that hand. You don't put your earring on that ear. You know, that's not how boys do things. That's whenever people really focused in and honed in on what I was doing and how I should be doing it. But the funniest part is like, my mom always knew. My sister, there's no way they couldn't have known or talked about it, because my sister would have guests over, boyfriends, whatever. And I would come down with my little boombox and I would put on like Eve or like City High, and I would just start playing whatever it was, and I would get on the table and I would dance in like her bikini, or like she had these glittery sparkle like sequins like go-go pants. I have no idea why she had these. And she always knew whenever I would go get in her clothing, because if it had anything on it like that, it was dropped all around the house because I didn't even think about it. So it's suffice to say that most people knew well before I knew. And I think at that same age, that's when people were calling me like sissy and stuff like that, and I didn't think anything of it. And then my stepdad was calling me like Ostina. Like, how cruel. And then neighborhood kids heard it, so they called me Ostina. People knew that there was something about me before I knew there was something about me. And that's what's interesting. And kind of how it's undeniable, right? So I think that we kind of wrap that up and put it in a box in any gender expression until I'm probably 18, 19, and I start discovering gay bars and drag queens and transsexuals. And I thought that transsexuals were born that way. I thought we were born that way. And, you know, it was just an evolution from there on. But it started with, I was doing drag and I wanted to do drag. And so I asked the drag queens, somebody please help me. It wasn't the transsexual that said, yes, I'll help you, unfortunately, or else that journey would have started much sooner. But I had a really cool drag mom who had the most feminine like essence about themselves, and she helped me get into drag, and my husband was very supportive of it. His grandmother was very supportive of me doing drag. At the same time, like our first date was me in skinny jeans, like floral skinny jeans that my best friend would let me wear. Like, so I was already cross-dressing in a way. I just didn't consider it cross-dressing. I was already wearing like women's crop tops and women's pants, and I wanted to get my nails done, and I did that. And I remember having a job, and it was like I just got this hosting job, and I was like, okay, I really need this for rent. And I was like really eager to start in a restaurant, and they were like, you can't have those nails. And I was like, why? Other people have nails? Like, no, you can't. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want this job anymore. Deuces. And I think it's been those things in life that are like, it doesn't matter what's going to hold you back. If you want to do that journey, you got to do it. And that's how my transition has been. So I did drag for a couple years there. And one day, Brandon and I were talking, and my drag was getting more, it was coming away from drag and looking more like a woman as much as possible, and wearing like women's clothing for drag. Which in hindsight, you know. So one day I was like, I want to get a breastplate, and I want my drag to look like this. And he was like, do you want a breastplate or do you want boobs? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, have you thought about that? Have you thought about like maybe you want boobs? And I was like, no. Like, we came into this relationship as boys. I would never, like, that's crazy. And this is the time whenever like bathroom bill stuff was happening. I think the Caitlyn Jenner stuff was happening. It was just like a time of that being a topic and like a conversation. And it was kind of a self-awareness. We both like came to this reality, and was like, he was so supportive every step of the way. And we moved to South Florida for me to do drag and us to advance in our careers and me to transition. And I will never forget Tanya Klein saying, go get your tatas in Florida. If you're gonna go get your boobies, go get them in Florida. And so that's where I got my first set of boobies, and I definitely want another set, but that's a whole other story. Well, before you can get any implants, boobs, or any augmentations, you have to do hormones and therapy before hormones. So let's take it back. And I told you this story would jump around. It was right after we had moved to Florida in 2016, and there were drag queens galore, and a lot of them were transsexuals. And I remember it was Misty Eyes. She got me into a Sunstar program, which was like basically where I could get access to gender affirming care. I could have a doctor who would, you know, see me for the woman that I am after I had gotten therapy for people to see me for the woman that I am as well. And it's called getting your WPATH letter. And it's huge, and it's very necessary if you want to like really legalize yourself as a trans woman or a trans man or whatever your experience is whenever you are transitioning. And you needed to do surgeries. So I got all of that done, and then I started hormones. Well, I started with little patches of hormones, and they were so disgusting, but we kept them in this book, and I still have the book. I'll try to find it. It's so gross. And there were just these little tiny patches that had probably like a micro dose of estrogen in it. And it was probably 2 months in, and I could feel my little bitties coming in, and they were so sore. And we had just gotten back from a drag gig, and I was craving something sweet. And Brandon was like, okay, I'll make you pancakes. So we got in, and we realized we didn't have any pancake mix. There were no chocolate chips, and I was not having it. So I started bawling immediately before he could like even come up with a resolution. And that's how we knew the hormones were kicking in. And that's why you gotta be seeing a therapist, because that stuff takes over and you're a whole other person sometimes. I stayed on hormones for probably 2.5 years. And I did estrogen and spirulactone, which I hated, and I did progesterone. The progesterone was for breast growth, and the spironolactone was to stop my testosterone, which I later discovered a month into that I did not like that feeling, and to cut off a hormone that I had had for my entire life didn't sit well with me. And it really caused like crazy thoughts for me. That's as clear as I can say it. So I came off the T blockers and stayed on my estrogen and my progesterone until I could afford to get my top surgery. And I paid for it out of pocket. We did. And I went to I was supposed to go to Timothy Alexander. I ended up going to Dr. Panella, and he was amazing. He was super sweet and like really, like, I don't know, I love the experience. I've never had another doctor that has done my boobs, so I love the experience. After my top surgery, I was so affirmed in my gender that I was like, okay, I don't think I want any other surgeries, and I really couldn't afford any other surgeries at the time either. And so I was just happy. I was very happy. And I was doing my career with no problem. It made me feel like the woman that I knew I was. And I was getting some fillers and on my cheeks and my chin and my lips. I got my eyebrows done. I did my eyeliner, just nails, all these things that were really affirming of my gender. And it wasn't until like, this past year where I was saving up enough money that we had put enough aside to do my facial feminization surgery. And, 8 years of being trans and then finally doing those things, it really sets in like, wow, I wish I could have done them sooner. I don't like regret any of my journey. There were times I even like questioned my journey. That's a whole other video. But I will say, if you know who you are and you're standing in your truth, just seek out the right ways to do it. Don't try to skip any things, because every moment is worth cherishing and doing the right way so that you never regret what you get done. That's the only advice I can give on that. And I'm not saying that as a rush, because I didn't do anything medically for a very long time. I didn't do my boobs until 6 years in. I didn't do my face until this year, 8 years in. And, I also got my teeth done. There's just like these things that you do that really affirm you. I want to get hair transplants. I don't think it will ever end. I think there will always be things that are minute things that I'm like, this makes me feel more myself. And other people might see that as I'm just completely altering what I was given. I don't really care, because, women do it too. Live your best life, live your best truth, and by no means am I saying that medically transitioning is the answer to everything in life. I'm just saying that whenever you choose to live your life as the opposite sex for the rest of your life, having affirmations like top surgery or bottom surgery, facial feminization, whatever it is that you feel that you need, or that would make you feel more comfortable, if you can get it, do it. If you gotta find the right job that'll give you that insurance, do it. I hear Starbucks is great. It's honestly wild that anybody is sitting here watching these videos, let alone asking me to make another one. So thank you for the person who reached out to this inquiry. And if you have any questions, comments, feel free to drop them down below or message me. I'd love to help however I can. I love and thank you guys so much for your support. I see the new subscribers and I'm so appreciative. It means more than you know. And I hope you have a good evening.